guys, as promised, here is my skill build tutorial video for my Spear Knight build, where I discussed all the skills from Swordsman, Knight, and Lord Knight. Let us first discuss your skill point allocation for Swordsman class. In this case, I have reset all my skills so I could show you how to use it if you're not aware or if you have not played in the Taiwan version. So at Swordsman class, you are given 50 skill points until you reach job level 50, at which you can switch to the Knight job. So with 50 skill points, I max this passive, which is increased recuperative power. It increases the effectiveness of HP recovery items by 50%. So what are your HP recovery items? These are your potions, your Yggdrasil berry, your seed of Yggdrasil, and other recovery items. So what else do I get? I get bash. So I try to max this at level 10 at Swordsman class. Now, what you have to remember as a skill type user is that you primarily depend on your skills for damage. As much as possible, when you have set up your skills on your quick slots, your character shouldn't be using any normal skill to damage the mob or your opponent, because your normal attacks don't crit and you don't get buffs for that. So what do you have to keep in mind when you're a skill type user? You have to read your skill description and check variable CD and fixed CD. So depending on your current vigor stat or haste stat, you should level your skills so that you can use your skills continuously from one skill to another. So for example, I'll show it here because I'm already a Lord Knight. For example, here, Pierce. I can max this up to level 9 or 8, but I cannot use level 10 Pierce. Why? Because my current vigor only allows me to have minus 22.4 second cooldown, and this skill has a total of 30 seconds cooldown. That's 25 seconds for variable cooldown and a fixed cooldown of 5 seconds. So I can't use this at level 10. I can only use this at level 8 or level 9. So let's go back to Swordsman type. Let me just reset this skill points. So for Swordsman, I get that. I try to max this at level 10. I get Fatal Blow as well to level 5. And then I get Provoke at level 5 just to unlock Endure. So what's Provoke? It is a very important skill of Swordsman because as the tank in the party, especially in instances, you have to provoke the boss mob so that they attack you instead of other members of your party. So for example, you're running the instance with a priest, an archer, a wizard, and you're the tank. You should provoke the boss mob so that it attacks you instead, because as the knight, you have the highest defense and highest HP, and you should allow your ranged party members to attack freely from afar. But remember, when you use provoke, the mobs attack you for 10 seconds, so you get all the aggro. Okay, and then I max endure because this allows me to be to attack freely without getting interrupted or knocked back. So this is a very good passive skill, or a buff. And what I get, Magnum Break. This skill converts your weapon attribute to fire damage. So remember to just use this wisely. Do not use this if you're attacking water monsters or fire monsters, because your damage will be less. I'll be showing you a quick snap of the elemental guide in Ragnarok. I'll show it here. So that's it. For Swordsman, your main source of damage skills are just Bash and Magnum Break. Now let's go and discuss the second job skill point allocation, which is when you transition to the night job. By then, up until you transition to Lord Knight job, you will have accumulated a total of 100 skill points. So, my skill point allocation goes as follows. 10 for recuperative power again, 5 for provoke, 5 for endure, and 10 for magnum break. Now, you might ask, why don't I get battle will? And why don't I get sword mastery? It's because if you read the description, it says whenever your normal attacks hit, my physical damage bonus is increased by a certain number. And as I have mentioned previously, if you are a skill type user, you cannot rely on normal attacks to damage your opponents or your targets. So if you read all the skills, make sure you do not get any buffs for normal attacks such as this, sword mastery or battle will. Don't get those. Or double blow. Don't get this because this is a buff for normal attack, and these are skills for sword types, not for spear type users. As you can see, I have also removed my skill points for bash and fatal blow because I already have unlocked my spear skills, so I will be using my skill points for that. I also just want to note that bash is a skill that I usually just use for PvP when I'm a knight. So I will be discussing my PvP skill point allocation in a separate video. This is my PvE skill point allocation, which means I only use this loadout for instances or when I'm fighting mobs. So to continue, I max this passive skill, Spear Proficiency. As you can see, this passive relies on your dex stat. So if you have higher dex, your attack increases. So you have an option to increase that using your enchant slots if you wish. I also get Pierce, which is your primary attack skill. As you can see, the damage modifier of this skill is your attack. So if you have higher attack, your damage is higher. So I get this at level 5 just to unlock the next skill. As you can see, at level 5, I should already have minus 15 seconds cooldown by night job in order to fully use this skill unlimitedly. So make sure you scale your haste stats accordingly as you level up. So spear stab, I also use 5 of that, and spear boomerang, I use 5. Just unlock all your spear skills. Then the best part is you can already use the Peko Peko mount, which is, let me just save that, which is this mount. It gives you additional attack and movement speed. So I usually just unlock it at 3 at first, but my attack speed will be lesser. But if you can put it at level 5, that's better. And then you max this passive again. It gives you attack stats. Again, this is dependent on your dex base stats. So if you have high dex, you get more attack. Let me just save that. Then I also get Steel Heart. So it says that within 12 seconds of using this skill, which is a long time, the damage received decreases by 22%. And there's additional 1% for every 50 bit base stat that I have. It also prevents me from being interrupted while being attacked. So I really like this skill because it's a good defensive buff, and it allows me to attack and use my spear skills better. So I try to max this at level 10. This has a fixed cooldown of 30 seconds. So if you want, it's up to you if you want to max it out to 10 or if you don't want to max it out to 10. At level 10, the damage decreases by 40%, which is a lot, right? If you have other skill points, extra skill points, you can allocate it however you wish. I suggest you can use counter, which is a shield, but I already have Steel Heart, so I don't usually use that. You can choose to use this bowling bash if you want, or charge attack. It's totally up to you guys, but I don't really use that. I use charge attack for PvP. Now let's move to Lord Knight, which is my current job. So right now I have a base level of 66 and a job level of 27, which means I have a total of 127 skill points to allocate. So as I have mentioned, I'm using my grind loadout, so I'm only showing you my loadout for PvE. So for the Lord Knight job, I have already shown you the skills that I use. So now it's time for me to increase the damage of my peers because I have higher vigor now. So as you can see, I'm adjusting it so that I only end up with just the fixed cooldown. 21 seconds minus 21 seconds cancels out my variable CD, and I'm just left with 4.1 seconds cooldown. Same with spear stab. I can just adjust all my skills. This one I can max to level 10 because it cancels it out. my spear boomerang, I think I can use up to level 7. Now, my spiral pierce, which is your strongest skill. It deals 400% of attack plus physical damage of your weapon's attribute. So let me just increase that. So at level 4, I deal 550% of attack to my target plus the physical damage of my weapon's attribute. Now I will get this buff, which is Lord's Aura. I will max this to level 10 because this gives me an additional 10% buff for 2 minutes. So this is especially useful for when you run instances or when you grind mobs, because everybody in your party gets an additional attack buff of 10%. Next, I get Call of Justice, which converts my VIT points to attack points. So I max this passive to 10 as well. Once I max this, I get additional attack bonus. As you can see, I got additional 121 attack. Next, I get Concentration, which allows me to give a buff again to the mob for additional damage. I usually max this at level 10. Now, when do I use Concentration? Usually at the last stage of instances like Osiris, Drake, or Strove, I hit the target with Concentration and everybody in my party gets to inflict 20% more damage to this target for 10 seconds. Now, if you are a crit knight, weapon parry is very useful because you can block the enemy's attack. You can also choose to do this to equip this. I usually equip this for PvP, and you can also use Frenzy. Now, why can't spear type users use this really nice Frenzy skill? As the description says, this skill fully restores your HP and empties your SP. So why can't spear users use this? It's because for 40 seconds while this skill is in use or is activated, your SP is emptied, meaning you cannot use any skill and you're only left to just deal damage using normal attack. As I have mentioned earlier, as a skill type user and as a spear type knight, you fully rely on all your pierce skills, your spear skills to damage. That's why I don't really recommend using Frenzy skill for spear type knights. This skill is for sword type knights. Now, we are going to equip my skills. So how do I equip this? You have to equip this in order of usage. So first, for example, I usually use spear stab because I want to knock back my targets first, or the mobs, push them away from me. Then I use spear stab, then pierce, and spiral pierce. Now for this second half of my skills, I equip my buffs. So how do I use that? How do I do that? Because I have a lot of buffs, right? So you are free to create a custom skill. So click auto here on the far right and custom skill. Now you can create a combo for your skills. I use Lord's Aura first for buff, and then I use Endure, then Steel Heart. So this buff will be shown here on the topmost area of your skill page. So click that and you can equip it here. And that slot is equivalent to 3 skills as shown here. See? It's equivalent to 3 skills. Now let's go back and equip our other skills. So I equip concentration and provoke. Well, that's it for my skill build tutorial for PvE loadout. I hope you learned something new, and if you have questions, feel free to comment down below. And don't forget to hit like and the subscribe button for more updates on my ROX videos. Thank you for watching. See ya!